Louis Perez. Now we all love comic books, right? Yeah, I know you do. We all love the superheroes, the Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Green Lanterns, Captain America, and all those heroes, and Wolverine. But have you been noticing how superhero movies nowadays are starting to go for a more, well, I don't know, darker tone? This never really bothered me until I saw The Amazing Spider-Man in 2012. This movie had very mixed reactions when it first came to theaters. Not because it was a bad movie. I personally kind of liked it, not as much as Sam Raimi's, but yeah, it was good in its own right, it's barely. But a lot of people were turned off by the atmosphere and the tone of the film. It's very much a bit, how do I say it, dorky. It wouldn't mind me as much, it wouldn't bother me as much, except for the fact that I grew up with the Sam Raimi films. I adore Spider-Man 2012, despite its issues. I adore Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 3, I like it more than others. But what does this have to say for the superhero genre? Well, let's remember, Batman 89 started the whole love for superheroes. Remember, it was 89 that started the superhero craze. Then it gave way to other great superheroes films like the Superman movies. Well, the first two. And yeah. And sure, it did lead to some negative results like Batman and Robin. After that little disaster, superhero films were starting to go down the drain. That is until it was revived by a highly successful Blade. Then with another success with the X-Men, and then it was solidified by the wildly successful Spider-Man film. And then, comics were going for the right turn. They were still pretty much, okay, the appropriate films were lighthearted, like Spider-Man. He's a lighthearted character. You can't really put him in a dark scenario. But this director surely did. Aside from those, a lot of superhero movies are starting to get a bit more dark and complex and, how do I put it, realistic. I think this has to do with the wild success of the Christopher Nolan movies. Well, to be more appropriate, really, The Dark Knight. After that wild success, a lot of movies try to be like it. Dark, complex, realistic. Can be not yet like anyone with web powers and spandex can be that realistic. Hey, if they can pull off that in Dark Knight, I'm sure they can pull it off there. So then we get other films with dark and complex characters, like The Amazing Spider-Man and Man of Steel. There were others still, like The Incredible Hulk, but I think that was dark since the beginning. Well, at least it was better than Hulk. Anyway, who should know what happened to the Joker? I'm just joking with you. I'm just bringing reference to one of my most controversial videos of all time. You know what it is. And of course, there's been a lot of films that really adore Dark Knight. And I believe they're trying to get down their inspirations of why superhero films nowadays are so much darker. Think about it. Before Dark Knight came out, we had Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, and probably Thor by that time, but I don't really know. After Dark Knight came out, most superhero films are pretty much dark fiascos. Like, The Amazing Spider-Man, that was such a dark movie. Sure, it was pretty lighthearted at some point, but it was such a dark and unpleasant movie to watch. I still adored it, but it was pretty much unpleasant to watch. So, yeah. And then we got Man of Steel. Yeah, Man of Steel, Superman, the guy that was the Boy Scout, the man who was an exact opposite to Batman, has suddenly become exactly like Batman. Think about it. The tragic past, the complex character, the dark themes, the dark atmosphere. And even the music is the same. Here's an example. Dark Knight. And here's Man of Steel. It's the exact same, alright? And I may have stole that from another website, but I'm not gonna say it. Anyway, here's what all adds up to. Are dark and complex and realistic superhero films in it now? Well, there have been other superhero films coming out that weren't as dark as you may think, like Iron Man 3. Aside from that super plot twist, it was pretty lighthearted on that. And even Thor 2, even though I still consider that a very dark film, it still took itself very, very silly at some points. But this still doesn't match that there's still very much a dark atmosphere going on in these superhero films. So here's my question. Okay, I'm gonna end this review before I go on a big rant like I did in my Heath Ledger review, but I'm just gonna leave off with this question. Should more superhero films be dark and complex? Honestly, for me, no. It makes sense for Batman because, well, he was a dark character to begin with. But for Superman, and especially for Spider-Man, no. Luckily, future superhero films are not going to that trend like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which is finally being more like the Spider-Man films that I grew up with. And Captain America is starting to take a bit of that as well. So, that's my answer. What's yours? Do you think more superhero films should be darker and more realistic? Comment down below. I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Spider-Man, oh my goodness. Now this is really going to get into my head. Now this is really going to confuse me. I'm your friendly neighborhood Luis Perez, and I'll pop it away!